Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are finally reviewing the Maxim Pro from Adventure Force, aka Dart Zone. This is a short dart exclusive, magazine fed flywheel blaster, semi-auto, that's got a lot of really cool features packed into this little blaster. We're going to talk about all those. We're going to take the blaster out on the range, get you some precision shots. We're also going to shoot it over top of our chronograph, get you some FPS readings. And yeah, stay tuned at the very end. We'll go ahead and give you my final thoughts and everything at the very end of the review. Before we get into the features though, I do want to say one of the reasons why this review took me so long to get out was my first blaster actually died on me. And it could be for any number of reasons, and we'll go over that in a little bit, but just know that the first one did die, and I want to do my due diligence to make sure that it wasn't just a one-off or if it's a problem with the entire line. So I bought another one and have been running this one pretty much exclusive on AA batteries, whereas the other one I tested out a little bit with the Venom Pro battery as well as the Nightingale batteries. So I don't know if that led to the electronical issue or not, but just know that this one has been running on Rayovac Fusion Plus batteries. I got them at Menards. Anyway, so exclusively on there, haven't had a problem, have put, probably about over 1,000 shots through this thing, both on the range, plinking here in the backyard, in the house, and then also took it to a war where I ran it pretty much the entire day, save for a few games where I ran a couple other ones. But this one has been used a lot more than my first one, so I'm thinking it was a lemon. But nevertheless, we'll talk more about that later in the video. For now, let's go over the features. Like I said, this is a flywheel magazine fed blaster. So you have your new style rev switches, which is right here. Typically you see your rev switches right here in this area, so you pull that down to start the flywheels. This the Maxim Pro, on the other hand, has a paddle style on the back of your grip. So what they want you to do is grip a little bit tighter than normal. That will activate the flywheels, and then you can start pulling the main trigger, which will put the dart into the flywheels with the pusher. It is a translucent purple, so you can kind of see the pusher going back and forth there. We've got a large style paddle magazine release, which is nice. You can use your thumb. I could reach it with my trigger hand. It does gravity drop, which is sweet. I do have a size large, extra large glove hand, so your mileage might vary with the with the reaching the paddle, so you might need to modify this, add a 3D print part, or just simply add some tape to give yourself a couple extra millimeters of clearance to reach it. Moving forward, we do have Picatinny rail on the bottom here, so if you wanted to put a foregrip or some type of grip or something, flashlight, whatever, on there you can. You can see the flywheels inside here. There are some cutouts to allow for heat dissipation and airflow, which is nice. With that being said, keep away from water because the electrical boards are like literally right there. So there is no in-strike barrel lug. Obviously this is not a Nerf Hasbro blaster. We've got a decently sized barrel, so you won't have to worry too much about darts hitting the inside of it as they come flying out the front. It's a relatively short barrel too, so you don't have to worry too much about that at all. We've got a full Picatinny rail up top with 2 adjustable and removable sights. Not too bad, not too hateful. It is nice that they give you a straight, level pick rail, so you can add optics, flashlight, camera, whatever tactical gear you want on there. We have a single sling point right here, which is nice. A solid piece of plastic that's built into the pick rail, so it's not gonna break on you. And then the cool part, the feature-rich part back here in the end of the blaster is you have a buffer tool style stock that adjusts and locks into place. It will not collapse on you, which is nice. The one thing that I have noticed with toy grade blasters is the extension, or the adjustment is it does release, pulling it, extending it out. It will lock in the final spot, so you can't pull it off. but I feel like that's just a common thing in these toy grade blasters, where you can extend this without pulling this down, and it will ratchet out. You could also use the ambidextrous paddle to release it and lock it into place. You shouldn't have too much problem with the stock collapsing. I put it through a couple stress tests, didn't have a problem with it. And I don't see why you would be putting too much pressure on it, because it's not a spring powered blaster. So you're not, using your shoulder as like a brace. So another feature of the stock is we also have access, if you pull these two tabs down, to a Nerf In-Strike attachment point. So if you have that if you're bought into that ecosystem, you can use your favorite stocks. And I think that's a nice include, only because it can't do any harm, right? If this was a spring powered blaster where you're putting a bunch of weight on it, I'm not a big fan of that. But with the flywheels, I'm not too concerned about it, because you're not putting a bunch of weight on it. It's not, it's not stressing it. And I know people out there have their favorite stocks from Nerf or Hasbro or third party that use this kind of attachment point. So the fact that they did include it is really cool of them. And it just, backwards compatibility is, in my eyes, always a good thing. So a really cool stock attachment point. The buffer tube does come all the way off, or the buffer tube stock comes all the way off. So if you have your favorite stock, you can put that on there as well. So lots of customization features, or you can just run it like a pistol. So lots of customization available there in the back end. It does come with one magazine, which we all know my opinion on that. We'll talk about that more later. We'll load it up with some darts. You just simply load it, push a dart in, push it down, and continue this process. So it looks like we've got quite a few different darts here. It does come with the Adventure Force Ember darts. These are the black darts with the orange tips. It does come with those for this in the package. So we'll put a few of those up, and we'll give you guys a firing demo. So it looks like we've got, let's see, we've got some Worker. There is some Dart Zone Ruby. We've got the new Nitro Shot Plus darts in there, and then up first is the Ember dart. So make sure your lock is off in the forward position. That allows you to pull the rev switch and then pull the trigger. And it's as easy as that. So yeah, lots of fun. As you can tell, very responsive, very snappy. It revs up really fast. As far as power consumption goes, you do have, under this battery tray here, 8 AA batteries, which obviously gives it's the boost in energy over the 6 and the 4 variants of these style blasters. Underneath the battery tray is an XD30 connector, and that allows you to connect other batteries, styles, lipos, and things like that. Definitely refer to the manual or the instructions for what kind of battery to use. Again, I tested out my original one with the battery from the Venom Pro, and then also the batteries that are for the Nightingale. And I don't want to say that that's what caused the issue with my first one, but just know that I've used this one a heck of a lot more, and I've only ran it on AA batteries. So take that with a grain of salt, but nevertheless. So, all right, so those are the features and how it operates. Let's take it on the range and get some performance out of this thing and come back in. We'll talk all about it, and I'll give you guys my opinion after that. Let's go. All right, so we're out on the range with the Adventure Force Maxim Pro, also from Dart Zone. We're at 45 feet. We're going to be going through quite a few darts here. So first up, we've got Worker Gen 3 Plus darts. These are the red HE darts. We're going to be aiming dead center. All right, next up we have the Adventure Force Ember darts. These are the Walmart darts, aiming dead center, 45 feet. All right, so next up we have the Nitro Shot Plus darts from Dart Zone. These are I guess, their newest dart. All right, 45 feet, aiming dead center. All right, next up we have the T-darts from Saber. These are the heavy darts. 45 feet, aiming dead center. All right, and then last up we have the Air Pocket X-Shot Zuru short darts. 45 feet, aiming dead center. All right, guys, so we are back in from the range, and holy cow, is this blaster a lot of fun to use. Super responsive, super snappy. The rev is nice and smooth, and it's just up and running in no time. So let's go ahead and jump into our testing results. Before we do that, though, I want to go over just a couple pieces of information. With all of our testing, we use brand new darts on every test, and we use a 20 dart average when it comes to FPS as well as out on the range. We use a variety of darts, and in fact, this blaster is kind of in the sweet spot where we're getting ready to switch over to our review for 2025 darts. So we're eliminating some that aren't available or easily obtainable, and we're adding in newer darts that are coming onto the market. So the Maxim Pro is kind of like our in-between. It got that world and this world. So going forward, you'll just see like the 2025 darts. You won't see quite of an extensive plethora of dart testing when it comes to this. But anyway, nevertheless, let's jump into the FPS readings and we'll go from there. So looking into the standard deviation, that's really where I want to start. That standard deviation is the most important thing to me, making sure that the blaster is consistent. When I fire a shot, I want to make sure that it's consistent from shot to shot, so I don't have to change my angle and kind of guess where the next dart is going to go. With this blaster, I mean, you're right in that sweet spot of just under 10 for most of the dart manufacturers. In some cases, you're in the 8s and below that. The tournament darts from Saber, 2.7. That's pretty impressive. But unfortunately, that's where the good news for the Saber darts stops. They finished in last place in the other categories: high FPS, low FPS, and average. I don't think that they're just a viable option for non-Springer blasters, like high power, like 200 plus Springer blasters. So yeah, looking at the other test results, the 8.8 from the Nitro Plus darts and the 6.7 from the Air Pocket darts, that is just a phenomenal finish in my opinion. Average speed, average FPS, running right at the 150s. Overall, like, not a bad finish for any one of these darts. I would be 100% satisfied with using any one. Obviously, the T darts were abysmal, but nevertheless, even the Ember darts coming in at 12.4 standard deviation, that isn't the end of the world. And if you were forced to use those, having the darts coming out at an average of 147 puts you under a 150 cap, which is a good place to be. Running for HVZ though, at 130, that's going to create a problem. I'm not sure if there's a way to undervolt this thing so you slow the flywheels down to get you at that 130 or below. That's something we'll have to test in a future video. So just make sure that if you are going to an event, just check with the organizer and see what the FPS limit is, and if it's a hard cap or a soft cap, depending on what their rules are. So FPS is not the end all be all. So let's switch over, take a look at the precision testing over on our range. As you can tell, we've got we've got a couple different darts for you guys to look at here. On the slide here, we've got X-Shot air pocket darts in the top. Bottom left is the Nitro Shot Plus darts from Dart Zone. And bottom right, with it hard to see, I gotta fix that. I am so sorry. I said I was gonna fix that last year and never did. Bottom right is the Ember darts. This is all done at 45 feet. Looks pretty good. Looks like, to me, the Nitro Shot darts finished in, above these other two. Although the air pocket darts did not have a bad finish. The Ember darts, they fell a little short, but overall there was only 2 darts that kind of went outside of that like 2 to 2.5 foot diameter. So not a bad, not a bad finish. But definitely the Nitro Shot Plus darts kind of showing, what they're capable of in this scenario. Switching over to the next slide, we have the Worker Gen 3 Plus darts. These are the HE darts. A little bit higher up on the target, which is nice to see. A little bit more spread out. I wouldn't say this is necessarily a bad thing. It's definitely a little bit bigger spread than the Nitro Shot Plus darts. But overall, like, it's a pretty acceptable finish. There's a couple good clusters in there where there's 3 or 4 darts that are hitting in a good radius. A few outliers, which is pretty common for a flywheel blaster. Then you have the Saber T darts. Again, like we talked about in the FPS reading, not a good finish. They're just not a viable option for this blaster. So I will say, I should have said this at the beginning, but I did add a red dot sight to the blaster, not as a way to improve accuracy, but more or less a way to keep myself consistent from shot to shot. And so you can tell between all these results that there's definitely something going on with those Saber darts. When they hit the flywheels, they're a lot heavier. I should mention that too. These are the heavy darts. But overall, I think those darts are more or less for the 200 plus FPS Springer dart blaster. So take that with a grain of salt. I wanted to include it. I don't know if we will include those in flywheel blasters going forward, just because of how poorly they did here. We might run them 1 or 2 blasters down the line just to get a comparison and then make a decision to cut them off or not. Not too bad finish with the other dart manufacturers on my 3-foot target at 45 feet. So let's go ahead and jump over to my final thoughts, and we'll wrap it up, guys. Okay, so final thoughts for the Maxim Pro. I really enjoy this blaster. I really do think that the first lemon that I had was a lemon, and after doing some searching online, I see other people are having a similar issue. Kind of makes me think that there's a control board in here that is either burning out or is malfunctioning. There might be a way to modify it to get around that. I haven't opened this blaster up, so I don't know off the top of my head. That again will have to be for another upgrade video. But overall, I'm impressed with this blaster. If you're planning on running it on AA batteries, if you're looking to mod it and get some more performance out of it, I can't speak to that right now. Just know that there's something internal that you might have to deal with later on to keep the thing running from burning out or whatever. I love the adjustments and all that stuff that's available with it. As far as performance go, in my recommendation, looking at the FPS readings and looking at the precision shots, I would say the Nitro Shot Plus darts are the way to go. The FPS is consistent, one of the more consistent results that we saw. And as far as on the precision side of things, had the closest or smallest radius of shots while shooting at 45 feet. I would probably recommend engaging targets more closer to 40 feet, giving yourself a little bit of that extra, dart or blaster to target, straight shot. That way you're not doing, trying to guess and loft them in. But based on those results, 40 feet straight shot is going to hit the center every single time, without question. So that's my recommendation as far as that goes. So let's talk about, I know I kind of jumped ahead of myself. Let's talk about the features that I like. First off, this right here, absolutely love this. This is something that with all flywheel blasters should be included, like an auto include, is this right here. You know, because there's people out there that like this attachment, there's people out there that enjoy this attachment, and there's people that just want to run it stock. And having adjustability is always a plus. The included sling point, that's a good chunky sling point, is a well received feature. As far as the XD30 connector, I'm glad that that's there. I don't know if I'm going to use it. I feel like this blaster is, in my opinion, at 150 is perfect. I don't know if I would try to push it to 200 or not, because I feel like there's going to have to be some major internal upgrades, whether that's the flywheel motors, the electrical, that's run inside there. But I feel like at 150, this is a great offering, and just, the difference between 150 and 200 isn't so drastic that I would warrant like a $40 like upgrade kit. So, and if you have to buy an extra battery, obviously. So yeah, so I love the inclusion of it, but I don't think I'm going to use it. So things that I didn't care for or would like to see changed. The rev switch, I didn't necessarily dislike it. I definitely like it better than the Venom Pro, for sure, 100%. To the sense that I would probably mod my Venom so that it's a dual stage trigger. This one, I think I'm okay with. I think I would leave. I don't think I would go through the trouble of modifying the rev switch. Do I like it? Over top of the traditional, middle finger rev switch on the grip? Not necessarily, but is it the end of the world where I would be like, yeah, I'm not going to buy it because of it? No, absolutely not. I love the blaster as is, even with the rev switch as is. Would it be even better with a dual stage trigger? 100%. So that's kind of where I'm at. It's not as bad as the Venom Pro, but it's not as good as a dual stage trigger. It's kind of in that middle in between. So as far as magazine compatibility goes, there is a little bit to be desired. And I think that's more or less a function or a fault of the blaster, rather. So for me, a lot of these magazines don't work 100%. So let me show you. So with the Talon magazines, they fit, they lock in fairly well. There isn't a lot of wiggle. They release exceptionally well. The one thing that I will note is if you rock it forward and back, you can wiggle it out. So be mindful of that. They do wiggle out, which is true for a lot of these. So this is the Tryon magazine. That locks in, works good, releases well. But again, if you rock it forward to back, it will come out. We've got the Dart Zone Banana Mag. This is from the Mark III. It does fit. It does not come out. You can rock it forward and back and it will release. So for comparison purposes, here's the included magazine. You can put that in. It won't obviously drop out. If you rock it like we did for the Worker and others, it won't come out. But if you really kind of wrench on it, you can get it to release. So it might just be a fault of the catch system that's in there. We've got a Banana Mag from X-Shot, long shot. It fits, does not fall out, but again, just a little bit of wiggle and you can get that out, no problem. We've got a Nexus Pro, the original. It does fit, doesn't fall out, does gravity release, and you can wrench that one out. So just be mindful of that you can, if you move it back and forth, they will fall, they will pull out, which could be a feature for some people, right? I know on my Nexus Pro, I used a friction fit mag adapter, but for this one, I feel like that's probably more of a fault. But they still fit. I'm still going to run mine with Worker Talons. They fit really well, and they release really well. All right, guys, so that is the review for the Maxim Pro from Adventure Force, aka Dart Zone. Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of this blaster, of the review. Tell me what you like, what you didn't like, if you're planning on running this at any of your local wars or modifying it. I'm kind of curious what modifications people are doing to these things. So thanks for watching. We'll leave a couple videos up here for you guys to check out. Next week's video is going to be a fun one. We're going to go into a behind the scenes look at what cameras I use for my gameplay videos. Kind of like a gameplay tutorial 101, I guess. So thanks for watching, guys, and we will see you in the next video.